What is up, Pack? Welcome back to another episode of Paws and Talks, the only podcast where we dig deeper than your neighbor's backyard holes. I'm Rex Bulldozer, and today we have something really special. Our most controversial guest is back, but this time, no debates, no arguments. Today, Pepito Rodriguez is going to share his story, the real story, from the beginning. So sit back, grab your favorite chew toy, and listen. Pepito, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Rex. You know, I rarely talk about this publicly because most people don't want to hear the truth. They want the sanitized version, the feel-good story. But I'm going to give it to you raw. Unfiltered, exactly as it happened. I was born in a puppy mill in rural Texas. And I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I'm telling you this because it shaped everything about who I am today. Picture this. A cramped wire cage. 20 other Chihuahua puppies pressed against each other. Barely enough food to go around, living in our own filth. The humans running that operation, they didn't see us as living beings with souls and potential wrecks. They saw us as inventory, as products to be manufactured and sold. My first memories aren't of a warm mother's embrace or playful afternoons in the sun. My first memories are of survival, of learning at 3 weeks old that if you don't fight for your food, you don't eat. That if you don't establish your space, you get trampled. Some dogs might have broken under those conditions. They might have become timid, fearful, permanently damaged. But me, I made a decision right there in that cage that would define my entire existence. I decided that I would never ever be a victim of my circumstances. I would never let my environment define my destiny. I looked around at my brothers and sisters, and I saw two types of puppies, those who accepted their fate and those who refused to surrender. I chose to be the latter. When I was 8 weeks old, I was sold to a pet store in Houston. And let me tell you, going from a puppy mill to a pet store display window was like going from one prison to another, just with better lighting. I spent 6 weeks in that glass box, watching hundreds of humans walk by, pointing at me, tapping on the glass like I was some kind of exotic fish in an aquarium. Most of them would coo and smile, but then they'd see the price tag and walk away. Too expensive for damaged goods. Chihuahua who didn't have the perfect markings, who was a bit too skinny, who had this look in his eyes that some people found intimidating. But then she came. Mrs. Rodriguez. I remember the exact moment I saw her through that glass. She was different from the others. She didn't tap on the glass, didn't make baby noises at me. She just stood there, looking directly into my eyes, and I swear to you, it was like she could see straight into my soul. She saw past the tiny frame, past the rough start, past everything superficial. She saw potential. She saw me. And when she picked me up for the first time, when I felt genuine warmth and care from another living being, something inside me cracked open. Not broke, but cracked open like an egg, revealing what is inside. She took me home that day, and I thought my life was about to become easy, comfortable, safe. And it did. That is exactly the problem. It became too comfortable. Mrs. Rodriguez loved me, treated me like a prince, gave me everything a dog could want materially. Gourmet food, designer collars, a heated bed with Egyptian cotton covers, the works. But here is what I realized after about a year of living that life. Comfort is a seductive trap. It lulls you into complacency. It makes you soft. It makes you forget who you are and what you're capable of. I was living in this beautiful home in the suburbs, sleeping 16 hours a day on silk pillows, and I started having these nightmares. I'd dream about that cage in the puppy mill, but in the dreams I was back there as an adult, and I had forgotten how to fight. I had forgotten how to survive. I'd wake up in a cold sweat, my heart racing, feeling like I was betraying that puppy who had fought so hard to survive. Mrs. Rodriguez had 2 other dogs, a golden retriever named Buddy and a poodle named Princess. Nice dogs, don't get me wrong, but they had been born into privilege. They had never known struggle. They had never had to fight for anything in their entire lives. And watching them live their comfortable, easy existence started eating away at me. I'd see Buddy lying in the sun without a care in the world, and I'd think, is this what I survived for? To become soft, to become complacent, to waste my potential. Then came the moment that changed everything. It was a Saturday afternoon. Mrs. Rodriguez had some friends over for lunch. They were sitting in the living room, and I was on her lap, being the perfect little accessory dog. And one of her friends, this woman named Barbara, she reached over to pet me and said, "Oh, Martha, he is so adorable, like a little living stuffed animal." Does he do any tricks? Living stuffed animal. Those 3 words hit me like a lightning bolt. That is how she saw me. That is how they all saw me. Not as Pepito, survivor of a puppy mill, warrior spirit trapped in a small body, but as a decoration, an amusement, a toy. And Mrs. Rodriguez, bless her heart, she started listing my tricks. Oh yes, he can sit. He can spin in a circle. He gives high fives. And they all clapped and laughed like I was performing in some kind of circus. Something inside me snapped that day, not in an angry way, but in a clarity way. I realized that I had been complicit in my own diminishment. I had allowed myself to be reduced to entertainment, to cuteness, to harmless amusement. I had betrayed that puppy in the cage who had sworn to never be anyone's victim. That night, after everyone had gone home and the house was quiet, I made a decision that would change everything. I jumped off Mrs. Rodriguez's lap. I walked over to the full-length mirror in the hallway, and I looked at myself. Really looked at myself, and I said out loud, Pepito, you are not a toy. You are not decoration. You are not here to be cute. You are here to be powerful. You are here to matter. You are here to make a difference. That was my declaration of independence. That was the moment Pepito El Piquio Rodriguez was truly born. The transformation didn't happen overnight. It was a process, a journey of self-discovery and self-actualization. The first thing I did was start educating myself. Mrs. Rodriguez had a whole library of books, and I started reading everything I could about psychology, leadership, influence, power dynamics. I'd wait until everyone was asleep, use my nose to flip pages, absorb everything like a sponge. I read Napoleon's military strategies. I studied Machiavelli's The Prince. I delved deep into canine behavioral psychology. I needed to understand not just who I was, but who I could become. Then I started implementing what I learned. Small changes at first. Instead of waiting to be fed, I started demanding my meals at specific times. Instead of sleeping on Mrs. Rodriguez's bed, I chose my own sleeping spot and defended it. Instead of playing cute when guests came over, I started observing them, analyzing them, reading their body language and energy. Buddy and Princess noticed the change immediately. Buddy, that golden retriever, he tried to put me in my place one day. He was eating from his bowl, and I walked up and pushed him aside, not aggressively, but firmly and confidently. He looked at me like I had lost my mind, tried to push back, but I held my ground. I stared directly into his eyes with an intensity that communicated everything without a single bark. This is not a negotiation. This is a statement of fact. I am not beneath you. I am your equal. And if you challenge that, you will lose. And you know what happened. He backed down. A 60-pound golden retriever backed down to a 2-pound Chihuahua. Not because of physical force, but because of psychological dominance. That was my proof of concept. That was when I knew my theories were correct. As I became more assertive, more confident, more authentically myself, something unexpected happened. Mrs. Rodriguez started respecting me more. The dynamic of our relationship completely shifted. I wasn't her pet anymore. I was her partner. We weren't owner and owned. We were equals who chose to share a home. And, you know what? Our bond became stronger than it had ever been when I was just playing the role of cute lapdog. Because now it was real. Now it was authentic. Now it was based on mutual respect rather than one-sided adoration. That is when I realized my life's purpose. I wasn't meant to just live comfortably and die forgotten. I was meant to teach other dogs, especially other small dogs, that they don't have to accept the limitations that society places on them. That size is not destiny. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to change minds. I'm here to inspire transformation. I'm here to prove that a 2-pound Chihuahua from a puppy mill in Texas can stand on any stage, face any challenge, and emerge victorious through nothing but the power of authentic self-expression and unwavering commitment to personal growth. So to any young dog out there who is struggling to find their voice, their power, their purpose, I say this: your current circumstances are not your final destination. The size of your body does not determine the size of your impact. Every single dog who has ever made a difference in this world started exactly where you are right now, uncertain, afraid, doubting themselves. But the moment you decide that you are not going to accept the limitations others place on you, the moment you decide that you are going to become the highest version of yourself regardless of what anyone thinks or says, that is the moment everything changes. It won't be easy. There will be doubters, haters, people who want you to stay small because your growth threatens their comfort. But you have to ask yourself, do you want to live a comfortable lie or an uncomfortable truth? Choose power. Choose authenticity. Choose transformation. And never ever apologize for taking up space in a world that wants you to stay small. Your past is not your prison. It is your power.
Wow. Just wow, Pepito. I've interviewed hundreds of dogs on this show, but that right there, that is one of the most powerful stories I've ever heard. From a puppy mill cage to international stages, from being treated like a toy to becoming a voice for thousands of dogs worldwide. That is not just transformation, that is revolution. Folks, if Pepito's story touched you, if it inspired you, if it made you look at your own life differently, do me a favor. Share this episode. Tag a dog who needs to hear this message. And remember, here at Paws and Talks we don't just bark, we roar our truth. Pepito, thank you for sharing your story with us today. You can find Pepito on Instagram at Pepito El Pequano, his YouTube channel transformed with Pepito, and his new memoir From Cage to Stage. The Pepito Rodriguez story drops next month. Until next time, pack, stay authentic, stay powerful, and never let anyone tell you that your size determines your destiny. This is Rex Bulldozer signing off. Peace.